Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and this morning it's my privilege to review the second edition of EU Internet Law. It's been written by Andrej Savin, and we have actually reviewed this book before. It comes to us from Edward Elgar Publishing, and it's part of the Elgar European Law series, and the book's available both as an ebook and as a normal printed book, and it's also available online at the Elgaronline site. So you can get access to it through a number of ways. This is the book here. This is the second edition, and in fact that's the front, there's the side, and then there's the back. Now on the back, I'll just read the front. We've actually got a quote from ourselves from the Barrister magazine. The book provides a succinct and readable and well substantiated analysis of the way in which these elements interact. Distinguished by its clear and practical approach, this book provides an accessible and absorbing read, certainly for lawyers, students, researchers, and indeed journalists as well, as actually anybody who uses the internet, either as a recreation or as a tool for business, and who is interested in the evolving legal landscape which impacts upon it. Now, we wrote those comments a little while ago, and things have changed a bit, and we'll have a look and see why in a minute. Let's just have a quick look at the book first again. It's a hardback, as you can see. It runs to 350 pages. There's an index at the back, page numbered, not paragraph numbered. You'll probably be pleased to hear. And then after that, you've got the actual structure of the book. There are concluding remarks which are made in the book, which are very, very helpful. There is a little bit of footnoting, which you can see in some of the pages. There is some paragraph numbering depending on what the chapter is dealing with, and obviously subheadings and so forth. And if we get to the front of the book, you can see there's the front page, and there's the list of publications in the Elgar European Law series. And then after that you've got the detail about Elgaronline, and there's a nice dedication which I should just show you there. Now, Savin is Associate Professor at the Copenhagen Business School in Denmark, but I think this is a first-class book. There are 11 chapters in total. He has quite extensively revised it. There is a preface, which is the original preface, and then there's a note on the second edition, which I'm going to refer to a little later on. The law's as at the 1st of October 2016. Then there's a table of cases from the Court of Justice of the European Union, and then you've got secondary legislation listed as well, and then we get into the book itself, the first chapter being Internet Regulation in the European Union, Challenges of Cyberspace. Now, I will say one thing right at the beginning, and that is that with the decision to leave the EU, I do not foresee any big changes taking place initially, but there will be, of course, longer term implications. Now, our title for the review is without doubt a compelling current statement on European Union internet law at a time of massive change on the continent, and that's really where we start, because the decision in 2016 to leave membership of the European Union, as far as the United Kingdom was concerned, will have profound effects in the long term. In the short term, of course, we've got a lot of deals, negotiations and agreements to seek out and make in order to try to retain all the best bits of what was our EU membership and then move forward. So what the author, Andrej Savin, has done is he comments that the modern world has been subject to information and communication technology penetration at an unprecedented level, and how right he is. Almost a day doesn't go by now without some sort of item in the news about hacking or something happening, computer malfunctions. Just as I was writing this, the British Airways system collapsed. So you can see these items are of news are very prevalent. But what Savin does, he goes on to say that whilst the early battles over internet regulation have largely subsided, and this is the regulation itself, the system, debate about who regulates and when remains strong, and we can add the words impenetrable and largely unaddressed to date by many who are either afraid of the device or lacking in a commitment to take some control over it. And I think that's one of the problems that is a longer term issue because regulation of the internet, because of the problems by militant extremists who are seeking murderous endeavours, they will use the internet in order to satisfy their aims, and therefore we've got to look at how the system is being abused. Now, in a rigorous revision for the second edition of this important and contemporary work, Savin provides a detailed overview of EU internet regulation in all its key areas. I think it's an excellent book because it covers everything that you've really got questions on, as well as giving a critical evaluation of EU policy making and governance. And he's thoroughly updated and revised the text since we reviewed the first edition, and he cites three reasons. The first is that a comprehensive review is being undertaken in telecommunications, data protection and copyright fields. The second, that a multitude of cases originating within the Court of Justice of the European Union, the CJEU, have clarified some important obscurities of the law. And third, that small-scale changes have taken place in most of the other areas of law covered, such as electronic commerce, content regulation, digital identity, or cybercrime. And certainly cybercrime is a growing problem globally at this present time. Now, Savin's primary mission then is, in our view, to offer us assistance in understanding the contemporary developments in the case law of the CJEU, covering the multitude of issues that have recently been considered by the court. He also offers refreshing opinion on the pending proposals in telecommunications, copyright law and privacy laws, as well as the new regulatory directions signalled by the Commission's 2015 strategy document, which I'm sure will have a very substantial effect here, notwithstanding our decision to leave the EU. Now, the new edition of this book starts with a full examination of the constitutional context within which the internet is regulated and the various policy documents which have informed this regulation over the years. And Savin examines specific key issues in internet regulation, including the main list of items. That's electronic commerce, jurisdiction, content regulation, IP, intellectual property, consumer protection, and criminal regulation. And it's the criminal regulation again, which I think is the one which could well prove to be a bit of a loose link, if you like, and one that we better have certainly a priority to look at in the future. Now, for those who don't realise the position, the EU has performed a crucial role in internet regulation for each member state, and it occupies a unique position of global influence in this fast evolving area of governance, although it's still nothing like enough because of the pace of change. Now, this is not an ad for Remainers by saying this, but I think we must not underestimate the fact that as members of the EU, we do have this crucial role to play. And I do hope, notwithstanding the decision to go, that we won't lose that. I'm sure sense will prevail, notwithstanding people's decision that we have to leave the full membership of the Union. There's nothing to stop us negotiating individual arrangements, and I'm hoping that will happen. So let me conclude by saying that the second edition will, in our view, be of great interest to scholars, students and practitioners alike across the EU and beyond, and it remains a succinct, readable and substantiated analysis, those are our words, as the internet continues to impact us in almost every area of our lives at the moment. And the law's up to date as at the 1st of October, as I've indicated. That's for 2016. Recording this in the spring of 2017. And the book's available as a book. It's online as well, and it's also as an ebook. Let's just have another quick look at it. Nice picture on the front. And you can see the spine. It's got second edition there. Then on the back you've got the usual blurb. Just opening it in the middle. This is on intellectual property. You can see the structure of the book. Not a body copy there. You've got some footnoting there. Not a lot of numbering or anything like that. It's not a difficult book to read, but you do have to have, I suggest, quite a substantial knowledge of European Union law and an understanding of how the internet works to fully appreciate this book. Chapter 7, Consumer Protection and Marketing. Again, it gives you a flavour for the extent to which our membership of the EU has in fact had a very substantial influence on the way we do things. And as I've said, this is not a plea to remain in the EU because that decision has been taken. However, we've got to keep the best bits of what was our membership, and this is an area where we have to have global cooperation and continental cooperation. So thank you very much to Andrej for the new edition. It's always a pleasure to review your book, and really thank you for the huge amount of work you put into making it such a success. Thank you. Bye-bye.